Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Emily Schrader, and coming up in today's newscast. IDF troops thwart Hamas ambush and attempted kidnapping in Gaza as thousands of reservists are called up to expand the Gaza operation. Hamas accepts partial deal for a 60-day ceasefire and release of 10 living hostages as Israel weighs response. Hundreds of Americans become Israeli today as a special Aliyah flight arrives in the Holy Land. Welcome back to ILTV News. While the ceasefire proposal remains under consideration in Jerusalem, the IDF is moving ahead with plans for the major operation to take over Gaza City. Tens of thousands of reservists are being called up for the operation. More from ILTV's Devil Klein.
At least 14 terror operatives attempted to raid an IDF encampment in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, emerging from a tunnel around 9 a.m. and attempting to kidnap soldiers. The terrorists fired RPGs and machine guns at the Kfir Brigade's Haruv reconnaissance unit and approached their post. IDF troops responded, killing at least 8 gunmen, with others likely escaping back into the tunnel from which they emerged. In the coming days, the IDF will mobilize at least 60 and as many as 80,000 reservists ahead of the planned Gaza City operation. Last night, IDF Chief Eyal Zamir presented Defense Minister Katz with a detailed operation plan. The action plan presented by the IDF to the defense minister includes the immediate mobilization of 60,000 reservists, now in addition to the 20,000 already called up. Reservists will be given about 2 weeks to train for the new operation. Under the reported plan, regular forces will surround Gaza City along several dividing axes following the evacuation of about 1 million civilians to the southern part of Gaza. The objective remains the full evacuation of northern Gaza. In the coming days, the IDF will begin encouraging Gaza City residents to move south. Humanitarian corridors will be designated for safe passage, and additional aid distribution centers, field hospitals, and medical facilities are already planned. It's day 684 of the war in Gaza. Amid the ongoing warfare, the IDF and Shin Bet have announced the killing of the terrorists responsible for kidnapping Yarden Bibas from Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7th. Officials say Jihad Najir was targeted in an airstrike on August 10th, and his death has only now been confirmed. Yarden Bibas responded to the announcement, saying that he got part of his closure. He replied, "Thank you to the army for eliminating the man who kidnapped me. He will no longer be able to harm anyone else." Back in April, the IDF killed Mohammed Awad, who kidnapped the other Bibas family members. Yarden was freed in a prisoner exchange with the terrorists on February 1st. The other members of the Bibas family, his wife Shiri and sons Ariel and Kfir, were all murdered by the terrorists, with their bodies returned to Israel in coffins.
Well, it's a time of careful deliberation by the leadership in Jerusalem and Washington with the continuing Gaza war and the mediators' hostage ceasefire proposal now accepted by Hamas. Despite Prime Minister Netanyahu's seeming dismissal of this Hamas acceptance of the mediators' ceasefire proposal, Israel is said to be reviewing the truce deal. The White House is doing the same. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Sources in Jerusalem say Prime Minister Netanyahu will convene the cabinet soon to formulate an official response to the Hamas approval of the mediators' proposal. Since the Hamas announcement, the only official post by Netanyahu said that Hamas is under immense pressure. The PMO reiterated the cabinet's conditions for ending the war: the disarmament of Hamas, the return of all living and dead hostages, the dismantling of the Hamas governing apparatus, the establishment of Israeli security control in the Gaza Strip, and an alternative civil administration that is neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. The Hamas announcement that it accepts the mediators' proposal for a 60-day truce came only days after Netanyahu said that going forward he will not accept any agreement that does not involve the return of all hostages. In Washington, the White House said they too are discussing the Hamas response to the ceasefire proposal for the 60-day ceasefire.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Hamas accepted this proposal after the President of the United States posted a very strong statement about this conflict on Truth Social yesterday. I would refer you back to that statement. As for this proposal that Hamas has now accepted, the United States continues to discuss it, and I'll let the president weigh in on it definitively.
In Qatar, a spokesman for the mediators provided hostage deal details and said that the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal agreed to by Hamas is almost identical to an earlier plan put forward by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. In details presented by the mediators, the proposal includes the release of 200 Palestinian security prisoners jailed in Israel and an unspecified number of prisoners who are women and minors. This in return for 10 living and 18 deceased hostages held since October 7th, 2023. The mediators also insisted that the 60-day truce includes a pathway to a comprehensive agreement to end the war.
بالتالي هذا المقترح سيتضمن مسارا للوصول إلى اتفاق شامل لإنهاء الحرب، كما بطبيعة الحال هو يتضمن وقف مؤقت لإطلاق النار لمدة 60 يوما. خلال هذا الوقف المؤقت يتم تبادل عدد من الأسرى والرهائن، ولكن أيضا إعادة تموضع الإسرائيلية في إطار هذا الاتفاق تترافق مع دخول مكثف للمساعدات حسب لغة الاتفاق.
The details of the agreement appear to be mostly in place. We wait to hear now from Washington and Jerusalem. In the meantime, in an interview with conservative radio host Mark Levin, U.S. President Donald Trump gave his clear backing to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Worked with your friend Bibi. He's a good man. He's in there fighting. He's fighting. You know, they're trying to put him in jail on top of everything else. How about that? He's a war hero because we work together. He's a war hero. I guess I am too.
The families of 6 hostages who were executed in Hamas captivity last year just marked their 1-year remembrance in the Jewish calendar. Known as the Beautiful Six, the families of Hirsch Goldberg Polin, Ori Danino, Eden Yerushalmi, Almog Sarusi, and Alexander Lobanov, along with Carmel Gat, are honoring the lives of their loved ones while also calling for the release of the remaining 50 hostages still in captivity. This comes at the same time Israel is reviewing Hamas's latest response to a ceasefire hostage deal on the table. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian has the report.
After Hamas decided to show willingness and reportedly close the gaps on large obstacles that remained between them and Israel to reach a deal, the families of some of the hostages held a press conference together in Tel Aviv, urging the Israeli government to seal a deal to bring the rest of the hostages home. The father of American hostage Itai Chen says there needs to be a comprehensive deal to bring all 50 hostages back home.
Hostages come out before everything else. Even before dismantling Hamas. Releasing the hostages, all the 50, should supersede and should be prioritized than getting the dismantling of Hamas. Dismantling of Hamas could happen in the future as well. But what we won't get is the 50 hostages back. And that is what the Prime Minister should be focused on, and that is the message that he's getting from the people.
But the tune of the families of hostages to get a comprehensive deal to return all of them at once is, in fact, in line with Prime Minister Netanyahu's goal, according to a statement released a few days ago, and it's also in line with the Trump administration. However, both the Prime Minister and President Trump continue to communicate Hamas needs to be demilitarized and destroyed as part of the way to end this ongoing war. The Times of Israel reports that Jerusalem is studying the proposal Hamas accepted on Sunday, which is nearly identical to the Witkoff deal pushed through in May, according to reports. It seeks the release of 10 living hostages, the bodies of 18 deceased hostages, all in exchange for a 60-day ceasefire and the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. And the Hostages Family Forum announced that scheduled planned protests that were supposed to take place this coming Sunday will be postponed in light of these conversations about a hostage and ceasefire deal ongoing. Emily?
All right. Thank you, Shosh, for that update. Well, joining us now to discuss the current situation in Gaza is Israeli diplomat and former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Danny Ayalon. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us today. Pleasure to have you on as always. I'd like to start by asking you, what do we know so far about Israel's willingness to make a partial deal? I mean, we heard the Prime Minister reject it, many hostage families as well. But if Hamas isn't willing to end the war, I mean, what are Israel's options here?
Well, there are two, basically. One that is the preferred one, which is a one comprehensive deal. I think this would be the right thing to do. This would be the just thing to do. And it will put an end to the misery and really the terrible situation of the hostages and, of course, the plight of their families. Indeed, Emily, the entire Israeli society, everyone, we are our brother's keepers. On the other hand, is that if this is not within reach, then what Witkoff's rationale was that to get as many as we can, and that would be a half of them. But, of course, the other side of the equation is what will Israel need to cede. And here, I don't see much of a, let's say, of a leeway, because the positions the IDF is in now, is necessary. I believe that also the demands that the Hamas will be disarmed is also something that has to be discussed and has to be agreed, let alone, of course, a new regime in Gaza, which will not be Hamas.
Now, as these hostage talks are ongoing, we've also seen an expansion in the Gaza Up, as you mentioned, and a massive call-up of reservists. How will this takeover of Gaza City impact the negotiations, and will it even matter in the big picture of the threat, given that the Islamic Republic, the primary funder of Hamas itself, continues to exist?
Yes, I would say that we already see the impact in the sense that Hamas was willing at least to come back to the table. Just three and a half weeks ago, they just walked out. They put their own demands, almost like an ultimatum, as if they have all the cards. Well, they do have the hostages, which for us are very, very dear. But at the other hand, they have to think about the people of Gaza. Obviously, they don't have much regard to them, actually using them as pawns, using them as a buffer or even as a human shield. But taking out Gaza will put additional pressure on Hamas. Maybe even the people of Gaza will put more pressure on Hamas, which is the only way for them to really acquiesce. And at the same time, not less important is the political pressure, especially put by Qatar and Egypt. And I think that the combination of this should bear results and yields.
Now, you're a very seasoned diplomat. I have to ask, where is the international pressure on Hamas? Why is the focus even of our broadcast today on convincing a terror group, Hamas, to end the war, instead of global outrage at the fact that civilians are being held hostage, tortured for over 680 days? Is anything being done on this front internationally?
This is a very good question, and this speaks volume about the character of the international community, where we see the arrogance, where they accuse Israel without really regard to the facts on the ground. We see how the duplicitous behavior, the fact that they in a way support a terror, like a murderous terror organization like Hamas, is really despicable and outrageous. And not only that they do not speak out about the release of the hostages. That should have been first priority and a demand that would pressure Hamas every day. And not only they don't do that, they are thinking of basically recognizing a Palestinian state, something that has never, of course, been in existence in history. And they don't understand, or maybe they do, that by recognizing a Palestinian state, not only they reward terrorism, Hamas will become a real hero in the Palestinian society, which could even replace the supposedly more moderate forces of the Palestinian Authority. But what would there be to negotiate about if they really want to have a political solution to the Palestinian problem, they should allow a negotiation without preconditions. If the Palestinians already know that they have a state, what would there be to negotiate about? So they are really actually all those countries, first and foremost France, but many others, what they do actually is contrarian to, let's say, their own goal, if it is really a Palestinian state, and not just to discomfort Israel and to hurt Israel.
Absolutely. I think it's very damaging what we're seeing going on, not just for the Israeli side, but also for the Palestinians who are living under a terrorist organization, Hamas. We are unfortunately out of time, but I want to thank you, Ambassador Danny Ayalon, for joining us today.
My pleasure, Emily.
Jerusalem, 1913. There's an epidemic. Up to 90% of children had trachoma. Thousands went blind. Yet one woman had a vision. It started with 2 nurses from America, and today it's 2 world-renowned medical centers, treating more than 1 million people a year, plus youth villages, saving hundreds of thousands since the Holocaust. This is the work of Hadassah, America's largest Jewish women's organization, and a life-changing force in Israel. We helped build Israel's health infrastructure, saved lives during every war and crisis. And now, Hadassah hospitals are pioneering personalized medicine with robotics, 3D printing, AI, and providing essential trauma care. For over 100 years, our vision has been clear: to help heal our world. This is Hadassah.
Well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has launched a fierce diplomatic offensive against France and Australia in response to their announcements that they will formally recognize a Palestinian state at the upcoming United Nations General Assembly. Let's take a look at the most recent developments.
In a strongly worded letter to French President Emmanuel Macron, Netanyahu warned that the recognition of a Palestinian state pours fuel on this anti-Semitic fire, accusing the move of rewarding Hamas, emboldening its refusal to release hostages, and encouraging anti-Jewish hatred in France. His sentiments echo U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who stated explicitly that France gave Hamas a green light to abandon hostage negotiations by recognizing a Palestinian state. Netanyahu also demanded that Macron replace weakness with action against anti-Semitism in France, as Israel announced they were reviewing France's diplomatic mission in Jerusalem. France dismissed the charge as abject and erroneous, claiming it needs no lessons in fighting Jew hatred. At the same time, Netanyahu took aim at Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, branding him a weak politician who betrayed Israel and abandoned Australia's Jews. Canberra's decision to recognize the Palestinian state was made contingent on reforms by the Palestinian Authority to exclude Hamas, demilitarize Gaza, and hold elections. Albanese was criticized for timing the move amid war and terror, with opponents calling it a strategic blunder that endangers bilateral ties. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar responded by revoking visas of Australian representatives to the Palestinian Authority and instructing heightened scrutiny of future Australian visa applications. The criticism comes as Australia has repeatedly failed to curb its skyrocketing anti-Semitic attacks on the local Jewish community.
Syria has issued a rare confirmation of direct talks with Israel. The announcement on the official Sana news agency comes as the U.S. pushes for Washington and Damascus to stabilize ties. There has yet to be confirmation from the Israeli side. We have more from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
There has been no official comment from Jerusalem on the reported Paris talks between Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer and the Syrian Foreign Minister Assad Sahibani. The talks were reportedly brokered by U.S. envoy Thomas Barrack, who told reporters that the Trump administration backs any efforts that will bring lasting stability and peace. Washington says it ultimately wants U.S.-Syria normalization and Syrian entry into the Abraham Accords. The official Syrian news agency Sana reported that al-Sharbani met with Israeli officials to discuss de-escalating tensions and restoring a 1974 ceasefire agreement. The report went on, the talks resulted in understandings that support stability in the region. It's now been widely reported that Dermer and Barrack also discussed the creation of a humanitarian corridor to the Druze enclave in Syria amid ongoing concerns in the Sueda area. Druze spiritual leader in Israel, Sheikh Moafek Tarif, met the U.S. envoy in Paris. They discussed plans for a humanitarian route from the Druze village of Hadar, near Mount Hermon, to Sueda, allowing aid delivery to those affected by recent massacres of Syrian Druze.
This morning, a very special El Al flight touched down at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. The 65th annual Nefesh B'Nefesh charter flight was carrying 225 new Olim, all immigrants from the United States who decided to pick up their lives and make Aliyah to the Holy Land. ILTV's Devo Klein was on the tarmac when the plane landed and spoke to some of the new arrivals.
This morning, ILTV participated in a magical event. Right as the plane touched down in Israel, the joy and electricity were felt by all 225 new Olim from North America communities that had finally arrived in the Holy Land to make Aliyah.
It is the first flight, first charter flight since October 7th, where we're seeing an enormous increase of interest in Aliyah. We're seeing the largest August of North American Aliyah since the last 25 years.
125 children were aboard the flight, with the youngest Ole being only 9 months old. With diverse backgrounds and high energy, the Olim on the Nefesh B'Nefesh flight consisted of medical professionals, engineers, lawyers, and much more. 5 physicians and 19 medical professionals, to be exact, are ready to begin their careers in Israel, a process that Nefesh B'Nefesh makes sure is as smooth as can be. But it's not just families and children. Many singles arrived on the flight, some of which intend to serve in the IDF.
9 months ago, I did not know I was going to be living here. Right now, I'm here. I'm officially an Israeli citizen, finally. And I am just overwhelmed with joy. And you guys could do the same exact thing, too.
And you're not worried about the war or anything going on?
We're going into the war. We're going in to serve.
Going to serve in the IDF?
Worried, yeah.
Israel's Minister of Aliyah and Integration told ILTV that even now, with Israel's security threats, immigration to Israel is at its peak.
I think that this is a strong message to our people, to the Israeli people, that usually during the war people escape from the country, but to the Jewish people are coming to Israel. Jews are coming to Israel.
And do you have a message to the Jewish world in the diaspora?
This is your home. This is your home. This is your real home. We are waiting for you. We need you. And your coming here is strengthen us, is strengthen our solidarity.
After disembarking, the Nefesh B'Nefesh grand welcome was waiting for the new arrivals. With music, fun, and a little bit of paperwork, all the new Olim were welcomed to Israel with open arms.
And you know, the situation around the world is not simple for people, but coming home is simple, because that's what they're going to do. They're coming home to Israel. When there's trouble at home, people come home to help out.
Nefesh B'Nefesh, in cooperation with the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration, make every Jew feel at home in Israel, where they belong.
I've worked with Nefesh B'Nefesh on so many different issues, and every single time they can handle the logistics all you want. But for making people feel welcome and comfortable to make the next step and to be able to feel like you're welcome, each individual took their time and effort to take and extend that to us.
Welcome home.
Israel Bonds, the heartbeat of solidarity, the powerhouse of support. When the Israeli-Hamas war hit, Israel Bonds stood tall, proving we're more than just an investment, we're a lifeline. Israel Bonds pledges to ensure Israel thrives and flourishes. Investing in Israel Bonds isn't just a financial move, it's a declaration for resilience, strength, and a better future for Israel. Join us and let solidarity echo through generations.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 24 degrees Celsius or 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see sunny skies alongside hot temperatures, seeing highs of 32 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels and our new live channel. You can also catch us on Screen IL with 24/7 live coverage. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Emily Schrader. Be well, and thank you for watching.